My name is Helena Kennedy and I'm a criminal lawyer. I practice in the criminal courts and I have done for over 30 years. But I also sit in the House of Lords, and so it means that I see law being made and then I see how it affects people's lives as they come into court. One of the things I've come to believe very seriously is how important the common law is in our traditions. Law isn't just a product of what Parliament says. It comes out of our soil and our history and our traditions. And one of the things about common law was that it was built as a process of accretion, layer upon layer. And each one of those layers was about struggle. We weren't given law by those on high to be generous to us. We fought for them and won them, and our liberties really do depend on our being vigilant and making sure that they're not taken away from us. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is that that's precisely what's happening just now. And it's not being done in one great assault. It's being done piece by piece, a salami slicing process. And why? Well, it's not as though that we're being governed by a crowd of bad guys. In fact, in our current political system, most of the political parties are pretty similar. And by and large, they're reasonably decent fellas, mainly fellas. And one of the things that they feel is that the state now has become benign, that it's sort of vanilla flavoured, and that we can be fairly confident that nobody's going to do very bad stuff to anybody. We're not living in a dictatorship, nor is there fear of that. But of course, we don't know what the future has in store for us. And it's one of the reasons why we have to protect what we have. So slowly but surely, things are being taken away. There have been attempts to erode trial by jury. We've seen an increase in the powers to the police to stop and search. And they're being used quite relentlessly, but particularly towards particular sections of the community. We're also seeing the passing of great swathes of anti-terror law, but then we're finding that they're being used against a lot of people and nothing to do with terrorism. And so what we're seeing slowly but surely are ways in which our system of law and the protections that there are for you and me as citizens are being undermined. Now, it's all being argued that this is about making the world a secure and safer place, making our country perhaps less crime-ridden. But the truth is that actually what happens is that liberty is being eroded, and it's not divisible, and it will affect you and me as much as anybody else. And so the arguments about it all being about criminals, about it all being about terrorists, about it all being illegal, about illegal immigrants, I can assure you isn't true. Liberty is precious to us. And one of the things that I believe strongly is that Britain didn't descend into fascism over the last 100 years when large swathes of Europe did, because we have, in our system, created a set of values which mean that as citizens, we're entitled to say, why? We're entitled to ask the state, by what powers does it want to know who we are, where we're going, what we intend to do? And we can always say that to a police officer if he stops us. But now there's talk of identity cards, that we should carry an internal passport. And you can be sure that the purpose will be to ask us that very question and for us to be expected to produce our papers. We didn't descend into fascism because we knew, and we have always known, that the state is there at our behest. And we're not here at the behest of the state. And once you interfere with that relationship between citizen and state, you really do create a very different kind of social contract. And I think the quality of our life here in Britain will be undermined and affected by that. And people, of course, try to persuade us that in other parts of Europe, they don't have that problem. Well, their history would tell a different story.